Township of Hamilton Committee meeting, Monday, May 7th, 2018. Please stand for the flag salute.
Rodney?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and publication in the Press of Atlantic City on January the 5th, 2018, and the Atlantic County Record on January the 10th, 2018. Mr. Gashard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
And Mayor Schenker.
Here. We have a moment of silence and private reflection. Thank you. Additions and deletions, I don't believe there's any.
Correct.
Early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings.
Yes, we have Frank Tomasello, 3B.
Good evening, committee members. Frank Tomasello, 612 Whispering Woods Court. I wanted to speak about item 3B, the safe exchange zone. I'd like to encourage you all to pass the ordinance.
Could you step a little closer to the mic, Frank?
I'm sorry. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. I'd like to encourage you all to pass this ordinance. I think it's a multiple win situation for the township. First of all, if you're not familiar with it, what the proposal is, as I understand it, is when people engage in sort of buying and selling over the internet, there's a number of sites up for sale. Well, not so much eBay, that's done mostly through postal, but Facebook has a number of sites where people can exchange goods. Yard sale without a yard is one of the newer ones. And basically, this would be a place where people could go and actually exchange whatever it is they're buying and selling, rather than going to the individual's houses. I think it's good to do it this way by having a place like Township Hall, especially near the police station, where this can be done. For safety reasons, I believe it was within the past week or so, I read in the press where someone had listed a phone for sale. When the person came to buy it, they were robbed. Or vice versa, the person was, I don't recall which it was. So it's a public safety issue. You would make it a safe place to conduct that type of business. It's good for the township because it brings people into the center of town. Maybe if they're driving from another city, they're going to stop at the Wawa for gas, coffee, cigarettes, what have you. And it encouraged people to, instead of just trashing items, to try to sell them, if they know there's a safe way they can do it without inviting people into their homes. So I believe the cost would be minimal. I believe it would a matter of just setting up a place, painting a yellow stripe around it, maybe a sign. If we're really lucky, we have some video cameras that maybe record if something does happen. But I think it discourages the bad element from injecting themselves into this type of thing. And for all those reasons, I think it's a win-win for the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Frank.
That's all.
That's it? Okay, we're going to move on to discussions. Formal actions may be taken. The 2017 audit report. We have a resolution. Excuse me. We have a resolution certifying the governing body members have received and reviewed at a minimum the comments and recommendation portions.
Mike, can we get Carol to come up?
Carol?
Please.
Please. Thank you. Carol, I know this is the first time in a number of years where we had one finding.
Correct.
And obvious from someone who's been on committee, that number of years when we had perfect audits, it was somewhat of, not a shock, it was just a disappointment that this happened, okay? My concern is Did it have anything to do with the merging of the courts together?
I believe no, it did not.
You said no?
No. Unfortunately, I think this is something that's been building up over the past several years. I can't say that with 100%,
Can you step closer to the micro?
sorry. Is
Thanks.
that better?
Yeah, a little bit.
I can't say that with 100% surety. I was disappointed as well in having to report the finding. We have been working with Tony and the state of New Jersey. The Office of Administrative Courts is also working with her on a monthly basis. On a daily basis, she sends all of her reports to the state, and on a monthly basis, she sends her bank reconciliations. So all of the, I guess you could say, adjustments that have been hanging around for a couple of years are now finally being cleaned up. And what comes in is going to go right back out again, and there should be no manual adjustments necessary.
No, that's good.
So my hope, and I do anticipate that this finding will be cleared in 2018.
So that should be cleared up with the action plan, right?
Correct.
I don't know that everybody in the audience is familiar with what we're talking about. Do you want to say a sentence or two about what this is involved, Administrator?
When we have an audit, if they find something that is not according to the, I guess it's GAAP, general accepted accounting, or similar, because New
Generally-
Jersey is a little different.
Generally accepted accounting principles, the governmental auditing standards, as well as the state, New Jersey statutes and administrative code.
If they find something that's not in compliance with that, they report it, and it's considered a finding according to the state. And we had a case in our court where the bank wasn't reconciling with the state's computer system. So they have to reconcile that, and they have to get it straightened out, so.
But it was not a lot of money.
No, it's not a lot of money.
No.
No, it's not. It's just little adjustments here and there that need to be resolved.
Thank you.
Was it a clerical error or, something transcribed and didn't?
I would say more of a clerical error where information may have been entered incorrectly. It was discovered during the bank reconciliation process, but the system was never adjusted to match what it should have been.
And it is now.
It is
Yeah.
now.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Thanks, Carol.
very good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Accept a motion.
I make that
First-
motion certifying the governing body members have received and reviewed at minimum the comments and recommendation portions of the audit.
I'll second it.
We need a roll call? Rita?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Number 2, we have a resolution approving the corrective action plan, which I believe was pretty much just described to us.
I'll make that resolution.
I'll second.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Rita, can we get a roll call on that too, please?
Yes. Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
B, resolution establishing the safe exchange zone at Town Hall. I guess either Mike or the chief could speak on this, please?
At your request, Mayor, we looked into establishing a safe exchange zone for the purposes that were described a few moments ago. If someone enters into a transaction on Craigslist or one of the other apps that's out there, they will be able to come to Town Hall. Will be two designated parking areas. There will be signage there, and it will be on the west side of Town Hall. And it will be under 24/7 surveillance video. Now, if something were to happen, they would still have to call the police department on their cell phone or come in. An officer's not going to be out there while the transaction's occurring.
they
But-
could be
but
there
it's right
quickly,
here.
So that's
Yes,
part of the whole idea here, so that's good.
yes.
And
Chief,
that's
is
it.
this something that has been done in other communities too?
It has, yes, all over the country.
Yeah, that's what I,
And anybody can use that safe zone as long as making an exchange or a transaction other than drugs, right?
Yes.
Other than,
Although, if they want to do that on video,
exactly.
We haven't done that.
It'll be safe, but not real smart.
not real smart, that's right.
I have a question. Does it involve cars or trucks or anything like this, or is it just small things?
Well, it's intended for the average person that's trying to make a purchase. You know, it's just a place to go, rather than going to someone's home that you don't know, into, an area you're not familiar with. At least you're near a police department, and it's under surveillance.
So there's no restrictions on what can be sold and what?
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't want a box truck back in there, but
Okay.
So,
No, it's something I think is great to follow up on. Frank mentioned that article that was in the paper about it, and I read that too with the cell phone incident, but there's many others that you hear of too. So I think it's long overdue and a great thing to
Sure, it's
Do.
just another good move toward public safety.
I agree.
Now, there's no way of enforcing this, I would imagine, but is it open to everybody, regardless of where they may be from?
yes, because we're not screening people for it. It's for that purpose.
So full disclosure here, Frank Tomasello came to me with this idea, and I thought it was a great idea. What's that? Or why not? I thought it was a great idea. This is something you don't think about until something bad happens. And then we all go, wow, we should have done something about that. So this is a little proactive thing, which I always like to be proactive. And I spoke to the chief, and it seemed like an easy enough thing to do. And the next question that goes through my mind is, why haven't we done it then? So here it is. Thank you very much, Frank. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Frank.
you bringing this forward, and I hope that committee supports it. Thank you, Chief.
Do we need
Well, it's up for discussion. It's a resolution, so we can take a motion on it.
I'll make a
move the
motion that
resolution.
I'll make a motion that
Second
we
it.
move the resolution establishing a safe exchange zone at Town Hall.
Have
Second.
a second? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. And again, Frank, thank you. Very nice.
Thanks, Frank.
We have no public hearings or adoption of ordinances tonight. We have an introduction of an ordinance. Ordinance 1877, 2018, an ordinance amending Chapter 173, flood damage prevention of the Township Code. Mike?
Yes, this ordinance is as a result of the new floodplain maps. And we had a meeting, I think it was actually our last meeting. Phil did a presentation, and the committee gave direction to use the minimum standard as far as what's required. So that's what's in here. And
Gotcha.
that's what's in front of you tonight for introduction.
Okay.
So this is if the house has to go on stilts or, be elevated, so to speak, to,
Yeah, the floodplain maps tell you what elevation you have to build to. And we've set it at the minimum required by the floodplain maps. You can build over that and reduce your cost of your flood insurance.
Yeah, that's
But
up
you
to
don't
the
have to.
owner, the
That's up to the
property
owner.
owner. Yeah, this is the minimum standards.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
That's great.
Mayor, I move we introduce that ordinance 1877, 2018, an ordinance amending Chapter 783 of the flood damage prevention of the Township Code.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Rita, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes,
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker? All
Yes.
yes and introduced. Public hearing is set for the next meeting. I believe that's May 21st. I have the right date?
Believe you're right.
May 21st. Publication will be Thursday in the press.
Thank you. Number 6, awards, bids, contracts, and change orders. A, resolution authorizing the award of bid 2018-03, demolition of 142 Knightsbridge Way to Neary's Construction and Rental Company, not to exceed $15,400.
Mayor, I'm glad to see this on the agenda. We waited a long time for this.
This is really
to get
gonna
the
happen,
approval to
right?
do it,
yeah, we
and
sure
I
did.
know the residents that live there have put up with a
Yes.
lot, and every time we came to want to do something about it, someone always jumped in the way, like from one of the financial institutions and said they were going to do it.
Right.
So, but I think by the time we got through that quagmire, I'm happy to see it on the agenda.
Me
and
too.
And I'm at
It's a
the
good
point
bid
now
amount,
where
too. Yeah, good bid amount.
I'll move that resolution authorizing the award for 15-4.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Rita, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
B, resolution authorizing the award of bid 2018-02A, authorized on-site inspection and plan review agencies for electrical subcode for the Township of Hamilton to Trinity Code Inspections, LLC, in accordance with the agreement for the term 5/15/18 to 5/14/19. This is, if you'd like to speak on that, Mike.
Yes, our electrical inspections, we labored for a number of years trying to get employees to do them, and we had difficulty doing it and maintaining the employees, so we've privatized it. We went out to bid, we received one bid, and it's 100% of our fees is the bid. So it's, there is an administrative charge that we'll still collect, but they'll be taking 100% of the fees that we collect for permits for electrical will go to the contractor.
We'll go to the contractor.
Well, the important thing is we get it done in a timely fashion.
Yes.
how much do you think, on an average, is that going to be?
It depends on what you're doing. Electric's all over. I mean, it can be pretty
Okay.
cheap or it can be big.
Okay.
But again, this was
Maybe I'll
done
become
in
more
the
efficient.
hopes of moving
That's right.
the electrical
Keeping up with the
inspections ahead
demand. Yeah.
easier. Yeah.
Yeah, because they've been far behind. It's
So I-
been difficult.
I would move to approve the resolution authorizing the award of bid 2018-02A.
Good, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Rita, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Go to 6C, resolution authorizing purchase of 3 Dodge Chargers and 3 Ford Police Interceptors, SUVs, from Cranford Co-op Contract 47 CCP CPS. Total cost not to exceed $173,108.25.
That's for 6 vehicles, 3
Yeah.
Chargers and 3 SUVs, right? Yeah,
And this was a budgeted
yes.
item.
I'll move that
5 were budgeted, 1
resolution.
was a grant.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Rita.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Resolution to retain legal services of James Malley Jr. of the law offices of Malley Givens PC as a redevelopment attorney in accordance with their proposal dated 5/1/18. You want to?
Yes, so we had, we've had a couple meetings to discuss expanding our redevelopment, area in need of redevelopment so that we can expand the pilot program. And Mr. Malley is a well-known attorney. I think he's also a mayor. And he has done a lot of redevelopment. He was very impressive in his presentation.
Yes, he was.
So we retain his services not to exceed, I think it was $15,000 to start, so that he could help us with plotting out our path forward and expanding our redevelopment areas.
That's great.
So, Mr. Malley was involved with Collingswood. He's the mayor of Collingswood. He was involved with the rebirth of Collingswood. He has been involved with Galloway. He's now in Middle Township. And what he's an expert at, and his firm, is to take areas in need of redevelopment, help you with pilot programs which allow, and there was many things on the table, a couple of which is a pilot program giving a tax abatement to any developer that wants to develop commercial property. And we went as far as to talk about a tax abatement the whole township wide. So that would be anybody who does any improvements to their home, they would receive the same abatement that a commercial property would. And where this really gets interesting is that these foreclosures that we have all over the township, because that's for a residence, those properties become much, much more attractive to investors, and they'll come and buy them, they'll fix them up, and they're getting a discount on the improvements to that home. They're getting an abatement for that. So there was many things discussed. A lot of it's very, very interesting. He went a little further than that with some other stuff. I won't get into it right now, but there was a lot of stuff there that is really, in my mind, is going to help push the township forward in many, many ways. The more businesses we can get in here, the more it helps our tax base. It helps us to do improvements, and it takes the burden off of you. And that's the whole idea behind this, and I think we have the right guy to do the job. So I hope Township Committee will be in support of this.
You mentioned $15,000. I guess that's the initial retainer or whatever it's called?
Well, there's no retainer. It's just under the new law that started this year, you have to specify a not-to-exceed amount every contract.
So this is not to
So
exceed.
this is just
Not to exceed.
a number we picked,
Okay. Are there circumstances under which that would go up?
only with approval of the committee.
Well, what I mean is do you see the services being required that would increase that?
Well, depends on how far you
Just
go with
depends
this.
on how aggressive we get. Yeah, it probably could.
From what I saw of Mr. Malley's track record, he's pretty fast, which makes me happy.
Rate charges by the hour?
Of course.
Don't we all?
Don't make Bob smile. Mayor,
I
I'll,
would be the first to admit that he is so superior than I in this area of the law.
it's good to
Yes. If you're going to do something, you hire the best, and that's our intention here.
Mayor, I'll move that resolution to retain the legal services of M. James Marley, Jr. of the law office of Marley Givens, P.C. as a redevelopment attorney in accordance with their proposal.
Second?
A motion and a second. Rita, can we get a roll call for this, please?
Yes. Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Okay, we'll move on to number 7, the consent agenda.
Can we pull out D, Mayor?
We sure can.
Thank you.
Which one was that, Roger?
D.
D.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda A through C and E through I, pulling D.
Second it?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All
aye.
those opposed? The ayes have it.
You know what's nice about, the reason I pulled out D is I think, that's a tremendous grant award that we got there. Every year when we do our capital budget and do our road program, we're always looking at roads to do, and our engineer last year had applied for a grant to pave Phase 2 of West Jersey Avenue, and we were awarded a grant of $391,000, which is significant when you look at road programs today. So I just wanted it to be announced in public that we're going to have a healthy road program this year.
Yeah,
Steve?
If I could just add to that, Kevin Dixon prepared that application last year with you, but it obviously was a very strong application that the committee put together. I had a chance to read the resolution, and you obviously put a strong effort, and the state recognized that, and that's a pretty big grant.
That is a big grant.
$391,000
Yeah,
for
that's
West
huge.
Jersey Avenue is pretty impressive.
And that's a very heavily traveled road, too. And I think from the point of view of how many roads that you like to look at and pave every year, it's significant when you get from the state of New Jersey help. So I just wanted to make that out so the public would understand, that's money's going to be well spent.
And it's much higher than like their average, so it's pretty impressive.
And that is good.
So that Phase 2 of West Jersey Avenue,
Right.
is that enough money to complete it? Or do we got to throw in a little too?
No, it's soup to nuts. It's the,
They're gonna do it all.
construction, design, bidding, inspection, it's A to Z. It's a complete transportation aid grant. This is what you hope to get.
Outstanding.
So can I ask why West Jersey Avenue?
I wasn't part of choosing that, but I've talked to Brett about roads this year, and we have a long list, but there must have been I drive West Jersey a lot, I know the need. I don't know specifically why that was chosen, but I thought it was a good choice.
But at the time when you looked at it, I think there were some problems on the road with heavy ponding in certain sections when we'd have a rainfall. The road sort of dipped on the shoulder sides, and I think obviously this will give them a great opportunity to, God bless you, We'll give them a great opportunity to work with the elevation there and do what's necessary to put the road the way it should be.
And with the development back in that area, it's much needed with the traffic that's increasing on that road all the time.
So,
Yeah, it's a road that needs to be done, so congratulations on that.
Any road we can get done for free, I'm all for it.
there you go.
Yeah,
That's why, Mayor, I'll move Chapter 59 of the resolution to insert an item of revenue offsetting appropriations for the amount of $391,000 for West Jersey Avenue Phase 2.
I'll second it.
Second, do we need a roll call for that, or can we just?
No.
No? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Can we get a few more of those?
Oh, I'm
Anyway.
saying, Art, those are good.
We'll try.
It's a good week. Okay, we'll move on to personnel. A resolution appointing Tony Lipishin as temporary full-time laborer at $15 an hour, effective 5/9/18, not to exceed 11 months, employment contingent upon successful physical and background check.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call? Roll call, Rita?
Mr. Gishar?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Before I get started on this next one, are these all roll calls because of,
If we're spending money, it's a roll call.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's almost everything. B, resolution appointing the following Cove staff for the 2018 season, June 16th to September 3rd, 2018. Max Crispell, day manager, $13 per hour.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Rita?
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may I make this easy for you?
Thank you.
Is there any one of you that objects to the remaining candidates, 8B, 2 through 10?
Not aye.
No.
No.
Then, under that circumstances,
Bless you.
you can move all of those remaining 9 with one roll call.
Can I get a motion?
So
I'll make
moved.
that motion to,
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Rita?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you, Solicitor. We'll move to number 9, approvals, minutes, regular meeting, April 16, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. B, minutes of executive session, April 16, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rita, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Recuse. I wasn't here.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 abstention, motion carries.
C, payroll and bills, bill list total $8,138,702.54.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please, Rita?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Received the balance of our funds from Malaga Road 4. It's the project that we had to hold up on for a while, but then we completed. So, but we did receive the balance of our funds.
Good. We almost had to go to jail for it, but that's
Yeah.
okay. We're givers up here.
This way.
I only have one question for you, Mike. The washing machine for the fire department, I didn't see it on your report. The last report, I thought we were waiting on the architect?
We're good to go now, the budget's done.
Okay,
We just
so
have
we're
to
moving forward with it? Okay, thank you.
Got to get a quote from,
Would you tell the public so they know we're not doing laundry at the fire department?
Yes, no,
That's
you
strictly
can't
to
bring your
do that.
clothes to the fire
That
department.
washes their turnout gear.
Thank
So-
you, Roger. Oh, Lord, help me. Mr. Solicitor?
I have 2 things to report on, and I'm glad to see the folks from Tavistock here.
So am I.
The first is that with respect to the issue of the clubhouse at Tavistock, it was subjected to a mediation with retired Chancery Judge L. Anthony Gibson. We have come to a settlement agreement that has to be approved by us tonight in executive session with respect to our contribution, and it has to go before the board of the condominium association for their approval. And when that occurs, the entity that has foreclosed will be paid a sum of money and will deed the property by quitclaim deed over to the association. So I'm pleased that that was successful, subject to approval by you and by their board. The second thing also has to do with Tavistock. The mayor and the deputy mayor and myself and others met with representatives of Tavistock, some of whom are here in the audience, to resolve the issue with respect to the bonding and the settlement with the bonding company. We have come to an agreement in theory. I have reduced it to writing today. It's part of your package that you only got tonight and that they only got tonight. Most of it has already been approved by you, but there is a modification that will be on the agenda at the next meeting. If approved by you, signed by me, signed by their counsel and the bonding counsel, I will do my very best to get it in front of Judge McLean post haste. And Steve Philippone and the mayor and everybody up there and myself are anxious to have a brand-new road for you folks before wintertime.
Yes, we are.
Amen.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. You ready, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Mayor and committee, I have a report dated May 7th. The first item is the McDonald's. The world's newest McDonald's opened up last Thursday at 1 o'clock. They took their first order through the drive-through. I know the owner's working on contacting and inviting the committee to some sort of ribbon cutting and open house ceremony. That should happen pretty soon. It's got the smartest, latest technology. When you go inside, and I hope you'll be there soon, it's got these smart boards. You walk in and they're all touch screen. You don't order from a person, you order from a touch screen. And they have employees walking around sort of assisting everybody. So it's the highest technology. It's pretty impressive. Second item on my list is there was a water main break at Redwood Drive and Cedar Croft. I might have reported on this last committee, but I just want to let committee know that the MUA contacted me. I met Steve Blankenship out there to identify the limits of paving. When the water main broke, it sort of pushed the road up in some sections. So the MUA will completely take care of this. You know, they've repaired the water main. Next phase is they've sent it out to bid to repair the road itself. So I was happy they contacted me because I want to make sure that their limits are the same as the limits that I would choose, and it was. The third item on my list is the stormwater management plan. We have an annual municipal stormwater regulation program, and I work with Brett. Brett contacted me a couple of weeks ago. There was a deadline of May 1st. We finished with the submission, the update. Brett did a tremendous amount of work over the past year on inspections of stormwater inlets and basins and repairing inlets, and we assisted Brett with making sure we filed that document in time. There were two parts to that. So I enjoyed working with Brett on that. The fourth item is 2 weeks, or last committee meeting, Anne Marie Leone came to the podium and asked about flooding in her basement. So I went out there on the 27th of April. I met her. I went into her basement. I put a report together, and I issued it a little bit late today, but I just want to give the committee the findings of my report. Right across the street, this is at 1305 Old Egg Harbor Road. Across the street from Anne Marie's house is the overflow basin that's part of Woods Landing. That basin's intended to, when there's an overflow of that standing pond of water, that goes to the overflow area and then infiltrates in the ground. That basin is 190 feet away from the front of her house. And between that basin and her house, you have Old Egg Harbor Road, and you have some berming for that basin. I put that in my report and some aerial photographs of that, but also behind her house at about 310 or 320 feet away, there's a very large wetland area also. So she has wetlands, a massive wetlands area directly behind her house. She has this basin that periodically hold some standing water. The base, that standing water was about a foot deep 2 Fridays ago when I was there. The next thing I did is I went inside of her basement. She allowed me to go down there, and there's about an inch of water in her basement, and I saw water marks that show about 8 inches of water at some time were in that basement. She had a sump pump running continuously. The basement was about 8 feet below the existing grade outside. So I have photographs, I put it in my report. My early conclusion, based on an inspection in the basement and looking at maps and visualizing, my opinion is that, my recommendation is that she should probably hire an engineer to do a further evaluation, and that would be do some test pits or soil borings on her property, evaluate the depth of the seasonal high water table and groundwater, and analyze that against the wetlands that are behind her, compare elevations, check the elevations of the basin across the street. So I guess my conclusion is I don't have a solution or an exact answer to why she has water in her basement, but a lot of it starts to point to the wetlands that are behind her property. But I just want to say I don't have a conclusion as to why she has a problem. I think she needs an engineering evaluation specific to her property.
I do believe she stated that the water problem started after the basin was put in,
She did state that.
but what you're seeing is not.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying
Okay.
there's other influences, and the one major influence, I think, is a massive wetland area that's behind her house. I sent this out to committee probably about 4 o'clock today.
Okay.
So I think she needs a further investigation on her property. I don't think it would be fair to come up with a reliable opinion based on my visual inspection of all this. I think I've looked at some of the superficial areas, but I think she needs an engineer to go to her property and do a thorough evaluation.
Okay. Go ahead, I'll allow you to speak.
Thank you. I'm Anne Marie Leone. I know Ms. Link wasn't here last time. I wish Mr. Filippone had called me. I could have given him all this. When I built the house, I actually did soil borings and did all this stuff that you're asking. My Craig test boring came out, I am 2.5 feet above the seasonal high water table. I also have all kinds of data you could have to do this. I submitted everything for construction at the time. I just needed it for superior walls so that you guys could understand that it would support the ground. I didn't really need to give you the seasonal high water table, but I did. My basement isn't 8 feet in the ground. If you actually look at the ground outside, I had it graded so it kind of looks nicer on appearance versus the slump that my house went into. There's about 4.5 feet, and this was in court, that's in the ground before we backfilled it up. So I just want to let the committee know that this has all been kind of hashed out. I do have engineers' reports that I'll be more than willing to share with you, but unless that basin is filled, that's the only time I have water in my house, is the only time is when that fills. Before February 10th, I had no water down there. After we got that first nor'easter, I had water down there. My biggest part of the problem with that basin is they did this crazy repair in November 6 months ago. They have not been back. They have not done anything else, but I can tell you it's worse than it was before. And I can also tell you that if they're not going to come back to fix it, and it's supposed to be state EPA law that it drains within 3 days, 72 hours, and that thing was filled from February 10th until, I want to say right before Steve showed up and it rained again. I had like one day I told him where we had no water and the pumps were finally stopping, and then we got more water again. And what's now happening is, instead of just being the overflow when it fills, it's now collecting and holding water if we have a substantial rainfall by itself. So it is not draining like it's supposed to. And part of why I came here last meeting is I want that thing to drain. That homeowners association has not been forthright with anything. Our settlement was they were supposed to fix the basin, keep me in the loop. I have provided them all the data from I have a well out in front of my house as a diver that collects all the water readings. I've been more than forthright with them, giving them the information. They had a plan designed in 2014. I don't even know if it's the plan that they have put in place at this point. So I just want you guys to know I've done a lot of what he's asking. I'll share everything I have with it. It's voluminous. I went through many years of litigation with them prior to the settlement in 14, and now moving forward, they're supposed to fix the basin, and I can technically go round 2 with them at this point because their basin is making my house even worse. But I need that basin fixed. I can't even fix my house or try to even attempt to hire an engineer to figure it out, because if they do something else that makes it worse, I'm throwing good money after bad.
So Steve, at this point, it's still their responsibility to make that basin right? Because this sounds like it's not working.
It's not working.
That's the first point.
Kevin Dixon is the engineer on that. He started the project, and I thought it was best that he stays with that.
Okay.
He's staying with making sure they resolve that basin.
Was that designed as a wet basin?
It was designed, the main part of it is a wet basin, but there's an overflow during
I
heavy
saw the
storms. It
overflow.
overflows onto that shelf that's supposed to just infiltrate within 72 hours, and it's not.
So if the basin were working properly, would there be a need for the engineering study you talked about? I mean, if they could fix the basin, would that still be necessary?
The reason I say an engineering study is necessary, because the basin is 190 feet away from your house. Not that it's impossible, but you're saying that this water is traveling laterally 190 feet and going into your basement. The only way that could happen if there were certain soil conditions of restrictive soils that allow that water to travel 190 feet to your basement. It's not impossible, but it's...
I know from all the engineers' reports that basin is not even, the original basin was not even 1.5 feet above the seasonal high water table. They built those mounds up, that basin's dug down, but it's not dug down. And it was 1.5 feet from the seasonal high water table, and that's what their attorneys provided to me. In order for that water to actually disperse in the right way, it's going to look for the path of least resistance, which is sugar soil, or the sugar sand soil that I have. My whole property was that when I excavated. It was the easiest dig I think any excavator had, because it was all that sugar sand. I have it from Craig Test Boring, who's done a report. I have my own engineer. What it does is it goes underground, it hits the bottom of my basement walls, and with superior walls, as you know, there's I don't even know what to call it. There's a small gap where they put like a piece of, I don't want to say felt, but the concrete goes up to the walls. It's coming up, and the hydrostatic pressure is pushing in on my house. The other part of the thing is I have a drain outside of the house, and that brings in the most amount of water. So yes, I have had times, and next time when I have it, I'm going to have you come over so you can watch the water actually pour through the joints. The only time it comes through, and you can check with your zoning, is when I have water in that basin. If there's no water in that basin, a couple days after it's done, I'm done pumping and we're done. But I do have all these reports that show this, and
if the committee's okay with me looking at your reports, I'll talk to Kevin Dixon. Well, I think the committee wants me to stay with this till this gets resolved. I mean, 3 weeks ago is the first time we met at the last committee.
Absolutely.
I came out, we'll stay with it.
No, and I appreciate you coming out. Like I said, I'll give you all the data I have. I have a diver from Stevens, the water company. There's a test well in front of my house, and you can see the variation. I'll give you my engineer's reports from the first readings before they did this. I'm waiting for everything to finish, and then I'll send it to my engineer, and he'll calculate all the calculations again.
I mean, I'd be happy to come out, meet you, pick up the reports, take a look at them, and I know that the committee wants that basin functioning.
So do I. I'd like to move on with my life at some
Whether it's the
point.
cause or not, and, the basin needs to get fixed, and I'd be happy to look at your information.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Steve, I have one question about the item prior to the MUAs. Do we get a last look at that road when they finish it?
We do, we will.
Sign off on that
We
when they're done?
will.
Okay.
In past years, we had an opportunity to look at
Okay.
Linwood Avenue when the MUA paved
All right.
Linwood Avenue. I think Roger had me go out there and make sure that, because sometimes with their contracts, they're not paying close attention to paving like we would.
Okay. I just want to make sure it gets done and done right. We have enough problems with roads. No offense. We'll move to Township Committee. Judy?
Well, I am glad to be here and not in Hawaii at this time with the lava flow. I just was driving over here, I think, Oh, my goodness. What a tragedy for these people. And there's nothing they can do. It's nature. But I also was happy to see a turkey pass the road as I was coming here. So our wildlife is well. And in my backyard was a groundhog, and I hope that means that we're going to have a lot of good weather. So, other than that, I think we're on the right road for a lot of these projects, and I know my grandchildren are very happy to see McDonald's open again, and I can't wait to be there for ribbon cutting. So that's it.
Thank you, Judy. Roger?
Yeah, a week ago Saturday, I went to the Cologne yard sale, and I was amazed to see that number of people out there with tables. And I think you hadn't done the article yet on River Road with the owl, had you, Charles? We had talked about it, and I wanted to thank you for doing that article. I don't know, most of you saw it in the Current. Remember at the last meeting I spoke about it? I wanted to thank Dave and Josh publicly for sending me that email, because you drove by and you took a look at it. Since then, there's probably been hundreds of people. Wouldn't you say that, Charlie, in terms of, but it was a nice sight to see in town. So also on May the 19th, I think there's going to be a township-wide yard sale at War Memorial Park. And I encourage you, a lot of times people ride neighborhoods looking for yard sales. This will be concentrated right in the War Memorial Park. So if you don't mind packing up your car and bringing it down, it may help you, okay? I do want to congratulate the people of Tavistock, because the cleanup you did in there looked pretty good. But I have to tell you, from what I saw, only the women were working. Right? Huh? Okay. But they were out there with gloves and tools, and that's a good sign, okay?
You gave them something to do.
Huh? I think they did a good job. That's it, Mayor, thanks.
Yikes. John?
Yeah, I'd like to first thank Roger and I, and a lot of the committee was out at the Green Day event that was out at Oakcrest. And Ingrid, it was a nice day. I'd like to see maybe a little better turnout, but some portions of it went better than others. And my understanding, the electronics that were collected and the recycling and the shredding event was really a good event to have close by for residents to get to and get some of them things out of their way. So I thought that worked out really well. So thank you for your efforts there. Also, the president of the Merchants Association, Fred Nebel, couldn't be here tonight, but he just wanted to stress the fact that they have moved the hometown celebration by a request of a lot of residents over the years that we've been out at the lake back to the main street in Mays Landing. They always felt that it was needed. It was out there for the celebration of the anniversary, and we kept it going that way for a couple of years, but now the decision was made to move it back to the main street. So the event will be on Saturday, June 30th, on Main Street between Route 50 and Main Street and Farragut Avenue. So that area will be closed off there. But of course, everyone can use River Road to get by and come back up into town. But that's where the event is going to be, and it's going to be interesting because the event has grown over the years, but they're planning on doing most of everything that they had out at the lake. A lot of vendors, they're incorporating some food trucks in it now, he told me, that'll be parked along Main Street like where the courthouse is. And they'll be doing the train ride again for the kids. That's always a big hit. This time, they're going to try to make a circle around the entire courthouse area. And we have the ability now with, if many of you probably have noticed, they've taken down the old jail, and they're in the process now of flattening out that lot. We're hoping that they'll have that tamped down at least, or maybe even finished to the point that we can use that for parking. But it looks like we're going to have a great hometown celebration back on the main street again. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Are you including the Pooch Parade?
Yes, I believe we are. Everything that happened, we'd like to do again, maybe around the fountain or something. Yeah. And the last, I just want to say that on the consent agenda, you can see where the Intex Corporation received portions of their, received their performance bond, was returned. And it's important because what a great partner they've been from the very beginning when they come in and showed us what they were going to do at a planning board level through committee to that property. And they've kept their word on that part. The property looks excellent inside and out. They still have a little work to do, but good partners, very interested in our community, putting people to work. And I was glad to see the release of their performance bond because they jumped through the hoops that they needed to make that happen. And that's it.
Thank you, John. Rodney?
All right. Just like to add to what John said about the Green Day. It was a very fine event. I was one of the people that helped clean up Harbor Avenue. And I'll tell you, if any of you haven't done that, it's just amazing how much junk people throw out of the cars. And I don't know how many of those little liquor bottles I picked up, but liquor bottles, soda bottles, it's really a shame. I don't know when the last time it was clean, but there's a lot of stuff out there. We did, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a mile? Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the whole Harbor Avenue. But the event, the Green Day event was fine. The shredding went on most of the time. They had huge trailers for boxes and for hard plastics. It's a very good event. People did turn in some jugs also, although we didn't have a jug bin. The green team collected it and handed it over to the police, I believe.
Ingrid, do you have still seedlings left?
Yes, I have a few, yeah, in my office.
I attended the Veterans Advisory Board meeting, the last one. They're, preparing for Veterans Day celebration. This will be Memorial Day. This will be the 100th year since the ending of World War I, 100 years. And so it's kind of a special event. We hope to see all of you out there. They're working hard to make it a good event. I also attended the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, and that went well. I don't know whether anybody had a chance to attend the bird, what do we call that?
Bird watching?
Bluebird. That's right. Did you attend? Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I didn't see you there. Yes, it went. Yes.
Quite a big turnout from outside, and they showed us how to make the birdhouses. You should have been there, Rodney.
I wanted to. I was out of town.
They really had a nice display of birds and everything else. It's a very good students for the Bluebird Society of New Jersey were there. So it was very good. We enjoyed ourselves. We had blue everything. We had blue cups.
Yes, that's right.
Candies. We had blue everything.
Yep.
Were there any bluebirds present?
But Brian, while I have you on the docket about senior citizens, don't forget to let them know that they will be doing that 2-week food drive ending at the celebration. And please, our pantries in town can use it.
Yes, that'll be in there at the hometown celebration.
Great.
Yeah.
Were there any bluebirds present? They're nesting now. In fact, there was a man from the county the other day. John and I had stopped up at DeFeo's Market. He was going to the back of his property, checking it, and they got several nests back there with eggs in them now.
They do, yes, and they over it's placed over off of Industry Development over in Lake Landing, and even at Woodview, they have theirs all out there, and they're going out, and the residents are going and checking them and everything else. They're giving some wonderful bluebirds going.
See that?
Nice.
Yeah, and I certainly like to thank the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee for putting that together, and I hope when people see the events they put on, that they try to attend, because they do some very good work. And there's some other events planned also. There's a health fair for the mall, which was done before, was very successful, and we're going to try doing that again. We're also looking at the possibility of having something at the Funny Farm. We need some more work on that, but that's one of the things that's being looked at. Oh, and also, I just might mention that we talked about having a game day. This is a day where we have board games, chess, checkers, Monopoly, whatever. Scrabble, et cetera, games that many of the seniors used to play when we had a senior citizen center here. Unfortunately, we don't have a place for them to meet, but I did request, I don't know how many are familiar with the catering house over there in Lake Lenape, did send talk to the park person over there and sent an email, and so I haven't heard from them, but they're going to take a look at it, and maybe we could use that. And I asked for one day a week, 1 day a month, at least initially, so we'll see what happens. I had one other thing. Oh, yes. I attended the South Jersey Transportation Program Office meeting, and we talked about the money that we got for New Jersey Avenue. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for to see if we can get more of it, because those are the kind of projects that are discussed. The money is out there. The problem we frequently have is a lot of the money is available for for shovel-ready projects. Unfortunately, in order to get the project shovel-ready, you need to have made an investment. The Department of Transportation doesn't come along and say, "Hey, fellows, can we build a bike path for you? Or can we build something else for you?" You have to come up with a request for it and a plan for it, and that's where that's the difficult part. But the county actually passed a resolution, I forgot the name of it, open space or something like that, which provide funds for that kind of activity. The only problem is, even though it was voted.
Ingrid, you guys did a great job. The green team did a great job. It's very important. There was a lot of obsession with the documents getting shredded. It's pretty cool. But there was, when you did Harbor Road, how many, I remember I was there when the gentleman was speaking about how many bags of trash?
30 bags of trash.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
It's a big bag.
That's not a big stretch of road they did, nothing, not knocking it down, but that's how much trash, and I'll bet you if we go back out there in a couple weeks, there'll be a lot of it back out. I think trash attracts trash. When people see the trash on the side of the road, this is good. It's a good place to put it. So I appreciate what you do. The green team did a great job, and it was a good event. I had the honor of not only going to an event, but getting to speak at an event called Friday is Tie Day. It's an organization that was started by Darrell Edmonds. I'm not really sure how many years ago, not that many, 4 or 5 years ago maybe?
Yes.
Something like
And
that.
he started with 7 young men. And basically this organization is to take these young men who may or may not have a father figure or even a parent figure in their homes, and teach them not only how to be men, but how to be gentlemen. I went to their meeting the other night, and they were actually going over all the things that gentlemen used to do. Opening a door, walking on the street side of a lady, all these kind of things in preparation for prom. And I was very, very impressed. At the event, there was a call, because from what I understand, the year before, there wasn't a lot of men in the audience. And the whole idea here is to make young men understand that as a man, you have to be responsible for all your actions, not some of them. So they tried to get 100 men in the audience, and I think they came pretty close. It was very close if they didn't hit it. But his organization is now taking care of or helping 50 to 60 young men in the area, from all over the area, to be better people, to help them get through high school, to, all the ups and downs and all the things that kids have to go through. And the night that they had the event was decision day, and half a dozen or 7 seniors stood up and announced the colleges that they were going to. And some of them really, you know, they told their stories about how tough it was, and without that organization, they would not be going. And I believe 3 or 4 of them are going right here to ACCC, which is very good school, do a lot of good things, and it's a kind of a platform for them to go on and better themselves in life, and that's what it's all about. You know, it takes a village, and right there that night was a village. So just want to take my hat off to Daryl and everybody who was involved with it. Great organization. They're always in need of money, so if you got some extra change laying around in a jar, that'd be great too. So that's all I have. I want to open it to public comment. Anybody?
For the record, my name is Marjorie Wilson with Atlantic Realty Management. We manage Chancellor Place, and I just came here tonight to say thank you for all everyone's done, participated in helping getting this home demolished at 142 Knightsbridge. I just have one question so I can report back. Is there a time frame for now that the bid has been awarded?
ASAP.
Yeah, as soon as possible, but it'll be several weeks. We have contracts to do and all.
So,
Is yesterday possible?
did you say several weeks? I'm sorry.
Probably 2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3. So
To get the
within, say,
contracts
if I
done.
say approximately within a month, it's 30
I
days,
would
something
think
like that
so.
would be fair? Thank you so much. I just
Good
wanted to
news
say
is
thank
there's
you.
nothing else in our way now, so it's
Yeah.
going to
Because
move
the bank
forward.
has,
Yeah, it's
since
been hard.
January, it's been on the foreclosure list at the sheriff's sale and keeps continually getting postponed. And as of last week, it was up again and postponed yet another month. So this is a great move. Now,
Yes.
that really won't make a
And
difference.
that's what we're up against.
Thank
is
you very
You're
much.
battling
This
the
way, the
banks
house will
who...
be demolished, and then that might move the bank to foreclose on it.
Yes.
Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Move to close public portion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close public portion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Guys have it. Rita, we're going to move to executive session.
Yes, resolution to authorize Township Committee to meet in executive session. Be resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton that this meeting be adjourned to an executive session to discuss the following matters which
We
are
can.
exempt from public discussion pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law. Comcast franchise negotiations, attorney-client privilege, Tavistock at Mays Landing Homeowners Association versus Madison Trust Company pending litigation. Joint-in settlement, County of Atlantic versus State of New Jersey pending litigation. Be it further resolved that the governing body may reconvene in public session and confirm the results of the executive session if there is a majority consensus for action to be taken on the matter tonight. Be it further resolved that the results of said executive session shall be made known as soon as the basis for confidentiality is no longer confidential.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Now, I will say this before we break. We're going to go in another room. If the folks here from Tavistock want to stay and wait for us to come back, we'll try and be as quick as we can. But instead of having you all move, we'll move. Need a motion to reopen?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it.
All right, the time now, according to the clock on the wall, is 10 minutes after 8. The Township Committee is resuming the open session. Only those items which were listed on the agenda to be discussed in executive session were in fact discussed. The minutes of that executive session will be made available, at which time the subject matter is no longer confidential.
We want to do the resolution.
Why don't you start with the pilot?
Pardon me?
Pilot.
The pilot,
Yes.
because you have a written resolution.
We have a written resolution that pertains to the pilot. It's agreement between Atlantic County and the state to outline the percentages that they'll get in the future. I don't have those percentages right here in front of me, or I'd read them to you, but we want a motion.
I move that. I make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second in the favor of supporting this pilot for Atlantic County,
And allowing for the settlement of the lawsuit.
allowing for the settlement of the lawsuit. Can you please give me a roll call vote, Rita?
Yes, Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Just one comment on this is, with this agreement, your county taxes will go up 0% this year.
Or do you want the percentages here? Son?
Oh, you have them?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, right on that sheet. See them there? 2017.
This is your,
So, in 2017, just to give you an idea what this looks like, 2017 was the 10.4%, which we all knew about. There's nothing we can do about that, it's gone. This year, they'll receive 12%. 2019 to 2024, which is the next 6 years, they will get 13.5%.
And there's numbers to the left, what that means in dollars and cents. See it?
Yes,
What he's referring to is the taxation collected from the Atlantic City Casino.
yes. Sorry, okay, just so everybody's aware. And then the following 2 years is 12%. Again, I believe those 2 years can be pulled back and renegotiated, or who knows what they'll do at that point. But they're not set in stone. We feel it's a pretty good deal. There's a little bit of a windfall here for the county, so, wouldn't hurt to call them and let them know that you like the zero, and we'd like to see some negative numbers too, so.
Mr. Mayor, for the record, before we came back on the open session, we do know that there are many people still in the audience, but I walked out into the lobby, the foyer, and outside to see if there were any other people that wanted to come back in, and there were not.
Okay, thank you. All right, so our other issue on the table here is the clubhouse. Would you like to speak on that, Bob?
Sure. May I go over here?
Sure.
Vote on the resolution?
Did we do a roll call on that, Rita? We closed it out, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't really screw it up. Okay? Members of the Township Committee, I would like you to consider a resolution approving a settlement that occurred tentatively during the mediation with Judge Gibson last week as it relates to the Tavistock Homeowners Association and the ownership of their clubhouse. And with your permission, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to phrase a resolution.
I'd appreciate that.
The resolution would be to approve the settlement as set forth in Judge Gibson's letter and to authorize the payment from the township as their part of funding that settlement of $20,000. And to authorize me, or not me, it would be Jim Birchmeyer, our counsel through the JIF, to execute the appropriate documents for the settlement of that matter.
All right.
Okay?
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
I'll move that resolution.
We have a motion and a second. Anybody have any questions? Rita, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
I'm so happy to finally see that these residents get some resolution to this matter. I vote yes.
Mrs. Link?
yes. Yes,
Mr.
it is.
Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yeah. Yes.
All yes and carried.
Doesn't pay that well, trust me.
What do you need?
Just authorize me to send them.
Is that it?
The terms.
Oh, you got the...
Well, you got one other.
Leather.
Oh, I'm
About
sorry,
Comcast.
okay.
Authorization to send the letter dated April 24, 2018.
We need authorization to send a letter to Comcast? Okay.
I'll make that motion.
We have
I'll
a
second it.
Motion, second. All those in favor?
No, let's do a roll call.
Got a roll call? Rita?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Before we adjourn, I would just like to say I'm very happy to see things happening in the Tavistock neighborhood, and hopefully
Absolutely.
Yep.
this will all be done before the summer's over.
It's been a long time.
Notice how I keep moving it back. No pressure, Steve. You're welcome.
I would like to say that the whole committee has worked on this project, that this has gone on for several years. I've been up here for 6 years, and we have, seen it go one step at a time. And Bob has done a fantastic job in negotiating things for us, and we've, made sure that he was hired to do that as well.
Well, we have another issue we're going to deal with at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Next meeting.
but we'll get there.
Bob, would you just
We're there.
tell them about the clubhouse, what we talked about,
Sure.
please, so they understand?
3 of the members that are on the board were associated with the homeowners association, were present during the mediation, along with their counsel. I was present along with Bill Johnson, and Jim Birchmeyer was retained by the JIF and Summit to represent our interests through that insurance coverage. Judge Gibson began the negotiations, and at the end of the day, it was agreed that the township would pay $20,000 toward the package. The JIF would pay 20, the Summit would pay 20, and the association would pay 30, and the foreclosing lien holder agreed to take $90,000. What I envision happening now is that the settlement documents will be executed by counsel and filed with the court, and you'll get what's called a quitclaim deed from Madison Trust Company, deeding the clubhouse back to you folks. Now, the reason that is kind of important to you is there was an issue of whether or not you could get title insurance. And I can't pass judgment on that or not. I would rely upon Mr. Wishnick, a very capable attorney. But I'm led to believe that that will make that path easier for you to ensure the title to that property. With reference to the lien holder, Lou was there. They started out at $150,000. And through the skill of your counsel and Judge Gibson, it was negotiated downward. Frankly, I was shocked and surprised that they took $90,000. And so that you know, and I say this without any hesitation to my client and to you, the assessor at the time was Jerry Mead, and later on was Bill Johnson. They did nothing wrong. They did absolutely what the law requires them to do. The Constitution and the state statutes require a municipal assessor to assess and tax land at an ad valorem basis based on its value, unless it is otherwise exempt. This property, as we sit here today, is not exempt. So the moment you get a quitclaim deed, you come talk to me and we'll talk about exempting the property through Mr. Johnson. You were a victim of a company that didn't fulfill its obligations under the decision and resolution of the planning board. Not your fault. Okay? Not our fault, not your fault. But fortunately, cooler heads prevailed, and you folks are going to get what you want, what you deserve. So that is what happened, and that's where we are.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Outstanding. It's been a good week.
Motion to adjourn?
Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
You can send baby booty to
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, ayes have it.